Hello, my name is Cody McCoy, and this is my Module 5 assignment, Understanding My Community. As far as the sociological inventory, Kansas City, Kansas is a rapidly growing community, mostly in part due to the Legends Shopping Center that has opened up and has really just boomed down the street from us. Demographically, we're about 52% white, 40% of those identify as non-Hispanic. About 27% African American, 27% Hispanic, and 2% Asian. These demographics have changed a lot over the last decade, with the Hispanic and Asian population growing the most. As far as the economics, like I said, the shopping and restaurants has been great, but our household income and home value are much lower than the national average, which has had an impact on the community. For example, about 81% of our students receive free or reduced lunches. As far as customs and traditions, Washington High School and Kansas City, Kansas in general has a long history of professional athletes. Maurice Green won 2 gold medals at the Olympics in 2000 in Sydney, Australia. Earl Watson played over a decade in the NBA and is still coaching in the NBA. Darrell Stuckey played 6 years in the NFL, and Kevin Young played over a decade in Major League Baseball. We don't quite do enough to celebrate this. This would be something that I would really push to have on the forefront. These are great role models. All of these men who were professional athletes have amazing track records in the media. They've been really great role models, and we just don't do enough to recognize them. As far as the changing demographics and traditions, we have a large, like I said, the Asian population is growing rapidly in part due to the Chin people from Myanmar or Burma. Um, these people, a lot of them are political refugees. And so they come to the United States and to Wyandotte County, and in particular the Washington attendance area, and they are just looking for a fresh start, and they have found it in Kansas City, Kansas, and they have added a lot of value to our school. Our change in demographics has not been recognized enough. Um, for example, our district leadership is currently trying to recruit teachers and leaders who better mirror the population in which we serve, which I understand and I completely agree with. However, one issue with that is that they are leaving um, key ethnicities out. They are focusing on one ethnicity and favoring it over the others, and they're openly saying it in school board meetings. So that's a little disheartening, and I hope that they see that our demographics are changing, and that we need to represent all of our students. As far as the population characteristics, about 77% of our population graduated high school, about 16 graduated with a 4-year degree or higher. As far as the occupations, University of Kansas Hospital is the largest employer in the city. So the healthcare field and people working in the hospital is very common. Manufacturing is also a very popular career in our community. The Fairfax district is in Kansas City, Kansas. There's a Chevrolet plant where they produce the Malibu. There's an Owens Corning plant, and there's a lot of other smaller manufacturing positions within Kansas City, Kansas, that people work at: welders, machinists. People in manufacturing really enjoy the people in the manufacturing really enjoy their work, and it has provided a good service to our community. The other one is retail. Because of the Legends Shopping Center, we have a lot of people who work at the Legends. There's all kinds of shops out there: clothing shops, sporting goods, Walmart, and a lot of our parents and community members do work at the Legends. As far as communication channels, the most common type of communication is through social media. A lot of our students text message and make phone calls on Facebook, even to their parents. You'll try to call them on the telephone, but based on the number in the system, and they just don't work. I've had multiple students tell me that personally, for them, the reason they do this is that maybe their parents' cell phones have been disconnected, but they will use the physical phone that they have to hook up to the school's Wi-Fi. That way they can make a phone call over Facebook. As far as other communication, our foreign language impact, the ESL population is growing very fast. The district is continuing to add positions and resources for ESL throughout the district, and we've seen a large improvement on our KELPA testing and things like that. So, and it's really been great for the school. As far as communication, official communication from the school, we have Infinite Campus, which is our school information system. But really, if the district wants to get information out there, like snow days or large events coming up, the best way to do it, and the way they do it first, is over Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. As far as the community groups, Kansas City, Kansas, although it's one city, is made up a lot of different neighborhoods with a wide range of socioeconomic statuses. Argentine and Armourdale are closer to Harmon High School and Wyandotte High School, where Bethel and Stony Point is closer to Washington High School. And these two areas of the city have very, very different household incomes and home prices. Kansas City, Kansas is made up of 3 different school districts: Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, the Turner School District, and the Piper School District. And I know from personal experience, not only working at Washington, but growing up in the area, that these 3 groups have negative perceptions of each other. We even have a hard time getting the other 2 districts to play us in athletic events sometimes. As far as leadership, the unified government's a little bit different because Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County consolidated into a single jurisdiction. Our mayor right now is David Albee. He was born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. He is local to the community. He's invested in the community, and he's doing a lot of great things. I wish he would be more involved with the schools. I do wish I had seen him walking the halls of Washington, and hopefully that will change in the coming year. As far as unofficial neighborhood leaders, from talking to students and parents, because there's so many different neighborhoods, the neighborhoods are often made up of different ethnic groups and races, and these neighborhoods often have their own small leadership. One example is I got really close with a student who was a refugee from Burma, and he explained that his dad was a prominent figure in his neighborhood because he owned a local business and employed several people within that community. As far as official leadership in the school district, we hired a new superintendent, Dr. Charles Faust. He came from Houston, and so there's been a lot of change, and it's happening very rapidly. I'm excited about the change. He has a lot of great ideas. He's beginning year 2 in August, so I'm excited to see what his vision is for the district and to see how it fits with my personal philosophy of education. From talking with him, I believe that it will fit very nicely, and it's a time of change in Kansas City, Kansas, and I'm very excited for it. As far as political structure, the school district has promoted and has been very adamant in letting people know that they recently sued the state of Kansas and won. The Kansas Supreme Court found that the funding for the school districts was not adequate or equitable, and so that has helped raise the funds that the school will receive. One political issue that we face in Kansas City, Kansas, is that Wyandotte County and the city of Kansas City, Kansas pays the state's highest taxes. This causes some issues in the community because they look at the parks, the schools, and public buildings, and many of them are in disrepair and run down, and they don't understand why that is if they are paying such high taxes. As far as social tensions are concerned, we do have some social tensions at Washington in particular. There are 2 major gangs that we have represented at Washington, and it causes major issues. The first time I found out about it in my first year, I was shocked. I was completely naive to the idea that this could be going on in a community that I grew up just down the road from. but it's very tense and it does involve students, and that's the scariest thing, and it makes me worried for our kids. Since I've worked at Washington, I've had multiple students incarcerated, um, some of them for over 10 years. One received a life sentence, uh, and I've had multiple pass away due to this gang violence. Uh, and the thing is because our communities are so connected, it has a ripple effect. For instance, in January, there was a young man who attended Schlegel High School who passed away due to gang violence, and we felt it at Washington. He had cousins who went to Washington. He had friends, but not only that, but there were people at Washington, students at Washington, who did not like him because of his gang affiliation, and it caused tension in our school, and it was a very trying time. Um, Cyberbullying is an issue at Washington, like it is many places across the country. It's almost a daily occurrence. In my position, I hear about it a lot. Uh, it causes major problems in the school. It causes fights. Students send inappropriate messages back and forth, and it's something we're constantly dealing with, trying to teach our kids the correct way to use social media. As far as discrimination, um, I do see some discrimination in our schools, particularly with students who are new to the country. Students who have been here in the country for a long time or have been really unkind to our new students from outside the country, saying things about their accent and learning English, and it's very difficult for them. And I do everything I can to teach tolerance, but we still have a long way to go in that area. As far as multicultural issues, we are valuing culturally responsive teaching a lot, but this is happening within our curriculum and our instruction, but our code of conduct and our school discipline policies are lagging. But with that being said, we have lots of groups at Washington. We have Black Student Union, Asian American Club, Latinos of Tomorrow. We just need to do a better job promoting and celebrating these groups. As far as public opinion goes, it's very mixed. We have 5 high schools with varying success in the public's eye. We need to promote and celebrate with the community more often, because some of our high schools do have serious public issues. Many times the wealthy families in Kansas City, Kansas opt to send their students to private school, and many community members only stay because of Sumner Academy. Sumner is one of our 5 high schools. It houses about 1,000 kids. You get into Sumner based on your MAP scores and other tests that you take. And it's also based on behavior. It is a very high achieving school. The average ACT score is much higher than the other schools. The average CAP score is much higher than the other schools in the district. And because of this, it does keep some community members, but we lose a lot of great students who would be going to Washington. They end up going to Sumner, and that causes a little bit of tension in the school district. But really, it is more about, because of the public opinion in the community, some of our wealthier families and some families who are opting for private school. And so we're losing even more amazing kids who could really help our schools. Well, thank you for viewing my video. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the feedback. Have a good evening.